Top tips for applications. Think about the examples that you want to stress. The application form, if it's done correctly, is the first stage of your interview process. And if you've talked about things on your application form in the right way, your interviewer will pick up on those things and may ask you more questions about them in the interview itself. So you can use the application form to lead the employer onto the topics that you want to talk about. And that's a great feeling if you're walking into an interview knowing that the employer is likely to ask you the questions that you want them to ask. That's a great position to be in.
I see 47 students a week here, usually on an appointments basis, and the vast bulk of the applications are nowhere near the required standard at the point where I see them for the first time. So it's very valuable to have them checked by the Careers Service, and especially when you're making your initial applications. Often, once students have worked with a careers consultant a bit on their applications, they're then up to a very high standard, and you can see those students go on to get called to interview in assessment centre.
The application, with any sort of, whether it's through an application form or whether it's through a CV, it's important because it may be the first time they have an idea or an impression of you as an individual. So it's the initial sort of selling point. It's the initial view they have of you as a commodity, as a potential person that would be working for that organisation. So it's up to the student to actually impress using a CV or application form. So it's the first thing they see of you.
The application is vital because it's your first contact with any organisation, so you need to make sure that you spend some quality time filling out your application forms, tailoring your application forms for each organisation to stand any chance of being selected for the next stage of interviews or assessment centres.
Again, do your research is probably the biggest thing. And when I say that, I don't mean Mercer works in this many countries or it has how many thousand employees. It's more about looking at what we're actually doing in the marketplace at the moment, and also looking at our competitors and trying to distinguish why we're better and why you want to work for us rather than the likes of our competitors like Towers Watson or JLT, those kind of businesses.
Number one tip for applications, I would say the most important thing is to tailor your application. In fact, I was saying that to a student only this afternoon at the City Law Careers Fair. Very often students fall into the trap of having an application form that is a little bit one size fits all. The important thing to do is to ensure that you tailor the application to the set of chambers that you're applying to and make it stand out. Why that chambers, why those areas of practice, those are the things that are going to make you stand out.
I think obviously grades are important. They would be an important prerequisite to getting in, but that's not the be-all and end-all. When it comes to applying to Allen Overy, to make yourself stand out, you would need to show that you're different. We have a number of applications, and we are a very competitive firm to get into. The thing I would recommend, write something that is true to yourself, use up every single opportunity to sell yourself, and say something that's a little bit different. If personally I did something that I thought was quite different. I taught voluntarily every Sunday and have done for about 6 or 7 years. I wrote that down on my application form, and it wasn't about my university that they asked me, it wasn't about my grades that they asked me, it was about that they asked me, because that was something that they hadn't seen in any other application form. If you can do anything that will make yourself stand out because there's something that you do that you're especially good at or that is especially different, that is probably the best tip that you can take and put onto your application form.